Welcome, everyone, to Boardroom Beyond. It's my pleasure to be here today with all of you. My name is Jennifer Reynolds, and I'm the CEO of Women Corporate Director Foundation. Today, I'm here with Judy Marks, who is the Chair, CEO, and President of Otis Corporation. She's also on the board of Caterpillar, and she's a member of our WCD Atlanta chapter. So welcome, Judy.
Thanks, Jennifer. It's great to be with you. There's probably never been a more exciting time to lead.
Absolutely. And we're going to jump into some of those trends that are impacting all of our organizations today, whether it's technology. What does that mean for our organization? What does it mean for our workforce? What is leadership in these transformative times? And what do you think is going to be successful for those leaders out today as they think about how they manage people and lead an organization? So I'm going to jump right into it. Start with the obvious one, of course, Gen AI technologies, how that's impacting society, what you're seeing now in your own business, and where you see that going in the future.
Yeah, listen, it's great to be with you today and to talk about AI. Everyone's been talking about artificial intelligence, more on generative lately, but I love to remind anybody who will listen that artificial intelligence has been around for a long time, especially predictive AI, and it's already made a difference for the past several, probably decades in most of our lives in terms of automation technologies and in terms of impacting so much of what we do. Where generative AI will take us next will influence everyone. It'll influence the human experience. It'll impact businesses, whether it be how they interface with their customers, how they work with their back offices, as well as how they work with their workforces. The areas, though, that I like to think about in terms of the technology will move us forward. And there's plenty of companies investing in the technology. The rest of us are figuring out really how to adapt it, adopt it, implement it, and reduce it to practice. But while we're doing that as companies, we can't forget an important element of this, which is the ethics of AI, the boundaries of AI, the controls that are needed with AI. So all of this is developing simultaneously and probably creating more discussions in the boardroom than anyone can imagine, not necessarily just on the adoption, but also adopting it responsibly. What does it mean for the workforce? What does it mean for society? And really, what does it mean from a governance perspective?
Yeah, there's lots to unpack when we think about this topic. I'm going to start, with my next question with our workforce. Let's begin with, because, people are worried out there at times, right? They hear AI, they think their job is going to be replaced. They see technologies being brought in, which perhaps are shifting roles within the organization. So how are you thinking about that in terms of transforming your workforce and upskilling, and how are you going to successfully bring people along on that transition?
Well, I think if we learned anything in the past few years during the pandemic, post-pandemic, really in my 40 years in industry, just witnessing the impact of technology itself, is that technology is going to continue to advance. And today it's all about AI. But we've seen such technological change. It's the pace of that change, I think, that's really impacting the workforce more now than pre-COVID and even the past few decades. And so we do need to upskill. We need to prepare our workforces. I don't see it as a threat. I see it as additive. And it gives us the ability to use tools and technologies to eliminate some of the tasks that people are doing now that they find no value in or any joy in at times in terms of delivering those services, and really allow people to spend their time where the mind can be used more, where intelligence can be used, human intelligence can be used more. It will create new careers. It will create new opportunities. The speed at which this will happen is faster, probably, than any technology we've applied in the past. So as employers, as leaders, as board members, it's really important to figure out that intersection. What does this mean? What do the new skills look like? Where are you going to get them from? Who do you partner with to train, to upskill, to reskill your workforce so that no one's left behind and we all move forward?
And do you feel within your organization, are you getting, do people have a thirst to learn, to upskill, to, be the one who can be the best at these new technologies? What's sort of the reaction as you sort of see these job roles changing?
Well, we've seen it change at Otis now for quite some time. When you think about, and we just turned 171 years old, as a company, and our founder really created this industry and allowed cities to rise. But as we look at our 71,000 colleagues, what we found is their work up until a certain point was very consistent, fairly mechanical, electromechanical, especially our field professionals, which we have 42,000 of, who every day are out servicing or installing elevators and escalators and moving walkways. But when we were able to put technology in their hands through iPhones, through proprietary applications that not only made them more efficient, but made them more effective and allowed them to learn, we found that we became more productive. People found more value in their work. We found reverse mentoring worked, where we had some digitally native mechanics who were teaching some of our more experienced mechanics who had the know-how, but it was up here. And now we're capturing that knowledge. And I think that's where AI is going to take us now. It's going to make us more productive, more effective, and hopefully make roles more meaningful.
Yeah, and I think that reverse mentoring is so important. I mean, I experience it myself in various roles that I'm in, and I think it really it shows the value of having multi-generational workforces, right? And how it really can bring out the best in
Well, and that's the leadership challenge today, right?
right.
5+ generations in the workforce. We all have different approaches to how we solve problems, to how we collaborate, to how we deliver for our customers. But as a leader, you've got to pull all of that together, and you've got to be able to create, the sum of the parts has to be even larger. And that's the challenge, with multicultural workforces, but more importantly, multi-generational workforces, and really trying to, when I think about inclusion, to me, that's the perfect example of having everyone bring a different view and being able to multiply that. Same thing happens in a boardroom when you think about it. When we talk about people coming from different experiences, people using challenges that they're seeing on other boards they're sitting on and how those were solved. I mean, that's the beauty of inclusion to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I talk about that a lot in various forums. Just the diversity is actually the easy part in terms of hiring. It's the check the box. It's the inclusion where you actually benefit from all this diversity around the table. So as you think about, your leaders and the impact of technology, are there particular skills that are really coming out at the forefront as are more important today that perhaps weren't as important in years past?
Yeah, so I'm an engineer by degree and have always been, seen myself as adapting and adopting technology as soon as possible, practical and implementable. Um, that's happening at a much faster rate. So the skills you need are adaptability. This ability to say the problem doesn't look the same as it did before. I've got different solution sets I can apply. I can work with different people. I can work with different partners. I can work with different technology companies, and in the end, provide a better solution. So I would tell you adaptability is key. And the other element, though, that hasn't changed in my mind are your values. And, your values and your company values have to align for there to be success. So you've got to be adaptable. You've got to be able to respond to change. Change is happening at such a pace that you've got to be able to say, okay, I'm going to solve this differently tomorrow than I did yesterday, or I need a different way to do this, but not with sacrificing your values. And that's really where the generations come together with their values. Your company has to have clear values, not that it talks about, but that it lives. And in our case, there are absolutes, and we use that word because there's no sacrifice. These are absolutes. Even our board signs up to these. They're our code of conduct. They deal with safety, ethics, and quality, and every single one of our colleagues know that those are absolutely fundamental and foundational to being part of Otis.
Well, I think that's so important to live it, because often we'll see companies that have a motto or something like that, but are they really living it? And people, they're skeptical. They got to see it to believe it. And I think you actually, as a company, Otis, just by Newsweek, were named one of the most trustworthy companies. So clearly, people are believing it, right? They're believing in what you stand for. So congratulations, number one. What a fantastic award. And just wanted to talk about, what are your thoughts on building trust? It's such a polarized world in so many respects today, and you're dealing with so many different stakeholders, global company. How do you manage that as both a CEO, but also, as your board and your board member?
Yeah. So, trust is a fascinating thing. And every day there's the culture side of trust, but every day in our business, there's the reliability and safety side of trust because we don't have elevator operators. Our equipment, of which we service 2.3 million units every in our service portfolio, every day 2.3 billion people use our product. And that to me is the ultimate test of trust, right? You don't think twice when you use our product. It's got to be safe, it's got to be quality, it's got to be reliable. And so we start there from a life safety trust element. And then what we try to do is take that through to the culture inside our company. We go to market in 200 countries and territories with 71,000 amazing colleagues. But each one of them has to represent the company. And so many of them operate individually at customer locations every day that they've got to believe in our vision, they've got to believe in our mission, our strategy, but most importantly, it all starts with our absolutes. So you have to show it, you have to walk it, you have to continue to enhance trust. It can't be built once and sustained without energy. And then you have to continue to get feedback on that trust. How are we doing? Whether that's through engagement surveys, whether that's through, me stopping and seeing a few mechanics and asking, do you feel safe? Do you feel you have the company behind you? If you run into an issue, can you stop work? It's all of those elements that have to come together every day of every week of every year in every time zone. And so it gets tested. There's no doubt as a leader. But, as I said, our board, we start every board meeting talking about safety because we're in the life safety business. So I think it starts at the top, tone from the top, tone in the middle, but most importantly, if your colleagues believe in it, then they'll represent the brand. And that's really for us what's so important.
Yeah, it's so important to make sure it's happening at every level, right? Because sometimes it get lost in the middle in terms of the translation. So successful companies, I think that's part of the magic, right? Is making sure that you're getting everyone, every level of the organization consistently.
Yeah, we're all going through transformations as companies. You see it no matter what industry you're in. It's technological, it's cost driven, it's macroeconomic, it's geopolitical. All of this is coming together and creating times of uncertainty. And this is where trust is what's going to carry you through it. Trust, good strategy, obviously, good support and governance from your board, good enterprise risk management. All of that comes together. It starts in the boardroom, but it's got to be part of the living, breathing part of your company every day.
Yeah. I want to switch gears a little bit and take advantage of your experience in terms of being both a CEO and a board member. And throughout your career, how has that impacted both of those roles? I've played both of those roles too, and I find it extremely helpful being on sort of both sides of the table, so to speak. But would love to get your perspectives. I'm sure we have lots of people listening who perhaps are considering carrying both roles and how they would manage that.
Well, I had the first opportunity to be on a board before I was a CEO, and I'm fully supportive of my executives becoming board members at other companies. I think it makes them more knowledgeable. I think they bring back best practices, and it allows them to develop skills and understand what's happening in a boardroom. And I had the privilege of doing that starting in 2016 on a company in Connecticut named Hubble. It was a great experience because sitting on that side, you understand what the company's going through, you understand how the strategy gets set, but you also understand the nuances of charters, of governance, of controls, of the committee structure, and the real role of the board, right? Strategy, risk management, capital allocation support, all of those critical elements, and good governance to be able to provide that insight, not just to the CEO, but to all of management and the company to represent the shareholders. So I had that opportunity and I became a better CEO because of it, because I understood how the board could operate. So when we spun from our former parent and had the opportunity to create a brand new board, I knew what good and great could look like. And we had the opportunity without a lot of history, obviously, to source a new board and just to really get it started. Now, I wouldn't recommend, launching a company in April of 2020 and as the pandemic was raging, because our board had to adapt too. And we had actually listed the company, virtually. First many board meetings were virtual, but we all came together because of it. We shared more information because of it. And I think it's a great opportunity for folks. And I hope to continue to make a difference at Caterpillar and anywhere else in the future. But, it's that you can tell chemistry when you get involved in a board. You can tell input. To me, there's real value in having very experienced board members and having a few new board members. We had a few on the Otis Worldwide Corporation board that it was their first major public board. And they, but they use their voice, because if you're at the table, we encourage everyone to use your voice, but not on every matter. And that's probably the nuance you learn by first being on a board before being the CEO, that, what is the board's role? And people are going to add value in places where they can, from either their past experience, their current experience, or comparable things they're seeing in industry.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point. You don't have to comment on everything. It's where you think you've really got something of value to add. And I also agree that those new board members sometimes bring perspectives that if you've been on a board a long time, sometimes you think, oh yeah, we talked about that, we've thought about that, but bringing it up again or a new perspective on it is helpful. So it's good to remember that staggering, obviously, when people are coming on and off is so important too.
Yeah, and I'll tell you one, I saw a great practice. Caterpillar started it. We actually used it, which was bringing two people on the board simultaneously. And the reason I say this, Jennifer, is as other board selections are going on, be it due to tenure, be it due to other, evolving needs. When you bring on one new board member and you have an existing board, you don't always remember to stop and explain the acronym, explain a little bit of the context. When you bring two new board members on, there's enough in the room there that everyone really just says, wait, that's right. You weren't here when we made this decision. Let's at least segue for 5 minutes and explain it. And we did the same thing. I thought it was a great practice. And then we did that late last year at Otis and brought on two new board members.
Yeah, great words of advice. Well, Judy, thank you so much for joining me here today. It's been a great discussion. Thank you for sharing your perspectives. I'm sure all of our listeners really appreciate it. And just wonderful to see you.
Great. Thanks, Jennifer. Good luck.
Thank you.
Proud to be a member.
Thank you for your support.